Hello, everybody. I wanted to give you an update. I've been waffling with where to start, and I guess I'll start with the oncologist when I went to see him. I'm very blessed that I have a naturopath too, so the results got sent to my naturopath as well. And with that, that allowed me to get access to my MRI results ahead of time before I met with any doctor, actually. So I knew what the report said. I had questions though, because there were some things in the report that were different than last time, and I didn't understand necessarily what it all meant. So I was hoping the oncologist would have some answers for me. Mind you, he's the third oncologist I've seen, um, because frankly, I don't trust them. I know they're medical doctors and they've taken an oath and all that, but when you start researching the whole industry, it is makes you be very skeptical about what they're doing, because everything I've learned and everything I've seen, their whole goal is just to extend your life as much as they can, regardless of how sick they make you in the process. That's not their priority. If they can, stop your cancer or, make it go in remission for 6 months or more, then that's considered a success. Not healing you, not getting rid of it completely, because they don't know how to. And when you try to ask direct questions like, oh, well, and they talk in circles. So I just happened to have read Chris Beat Cancer's book, and he has a section in there about 20 questions to ask your oncologist. And guess what they're going to say? And unfortunately, it's universal what they say. I've talked to several people. I'm like, so did your oncologist? Oh, what did they say? Word for word, verbatim. Oh, if you were my wife or you were my daughter, I would recommend this treatment. Like, why do they all say that? And would they really? Because then you read interviews about doctors, oncologists, that when they're asked, one-on-one, they wouldn't recommend it because they know all the poison that they're putting in you with the hope that it's just going to slow it down. My oncologist took his sweet time telling me the results of the test. I'm like, dude, you are so lucky. I already know what that report says, because I do not appreciate this small talk right now when I'm here to find out the results of this MRI, which we knew was showing something different. And but yeah, eventually he got to it, and he did just like the other two oncologists. He did not tell me what the whole report said. I had to ask him, and only because I knew what it said. So then I explained to him, like, all right, so if I don't have insurance, which I don't, Joe's new job doesn't provide insurance for me, so I'm on my own. And I said, so what would this cost, this treatment that you're recommending? He's like, oh, well, $1,500 a treatment, and you're going to need 2 a week on some of them. Like, yeah, we're not doing that. I'm not putting my family in the poorhouse, especially for only a 3% success rate. And that's being generous. Over all these years, they've only can tell you that their methods are 3% successful. That's it at trying to heal you. And that's what he said. He's like, we can just achieve homeostasis. You can just live with the cancer and we can get it there. We can shrink it. And in the process, you may cause me to have another cancer in another area of my body, and never mind my hair falling out. Like, okay, sure, whatever, it grows. Lots of people have friends with, don't have hair, no big deal there. That wasn't my issue. I didn't really care about that because that will grow back. My concern is the damage that it would do to the rest of my body. And every oncologist, well, you're pretty healthy. You got that going for you, and that's a good thing. So, you probably come out of this pretty well. Like, I don't want pretty well if there's another option. And see, that's the thing. I know there's another option. And I hate it when oncologists, you're hearing this news, okay, more than likely this is my death sentence. We all are going to die. We know that. It's nice to know it's a mystery how we might die. But when you get cancer, you're like, oh, this could be it. But it doesn't have to be. We don't know. The odds are higher, yes. But does that mean 100%? No. There's only one entity, being, whatever you refer to God as, that knows exactly when your number's up. And so that's where it takes faith. Okay, Lord, what are we doing? And so with the oncologist, it's so disheartening. And God bless my mom. She said, "Well, they're Christians, oncologists too, and they know, God's called on them." And I love you, Mom. However, they've got a certain focus. There's a perspective that they've been trained in, and the perspective does not allow room for other modalities or other thoughts. The one thing my oncologist and my naturopath agree on is with breast cancer, it is mostly stress related, how it gets going and how it can perpetuate. So the first thing he told me is you got to get rid of as much stress as you can. Well, I can't divorce Joe, so we had to work that out. Luckily, he's rising to the occasion, so I'm grateful for that. But as far as they just don't have a good record, and it's disheartening when you study the history of cancer and its treatments to think they haven't really gotten much further. And I feel bad for people when they say, "Oh, I'm in remission," and they already did the surgery, so they can't do surgery again. That's not an option. Those body parts are gone, so it's back, and there's nothing they can do. And in that regard, in traditional treatment, so. Needless to say, I canceled everything else with my oncologist. Like, yeah, we're not doing this. And that appointment, because I didn't have insurance, cost me $453, which I don't have, so I don't know when they're going to get paid. And then the MRI, that also ended up not being covered, so that was another $2,000. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. But then you go to my naturopath, and he's like, okay. He's smiling. I'm like, yes. He's like, I really believe the increase in growth was related to stress at that time, and we're just seeing the body catching up. Okay. He's like, so what we need to do now is, again, keep your stress down. Now that Joe's working, hopefully, it seems like, he's like, you look like a totally different person. I'm like, you know what, Doc, I am. I said my church prayed over me this past weekend, so before I saw the oncologist, or after I saw the oncologist, I had a peace about me. Because the week prior to my visit with the oncologist, a friend gave me, yes, and it said, be anxious for nothing. And the only thing that I know is always true and always trustworthy is God's word, the Bible. It just is. I tell Joe all the time, thank you for letting me walk with you while you were going through your recovery, because it prepared me for now. I saw what God did in your life and how he brought me through that with you. And if it weren't for that, I don't know that I would have had the strength and the tools in place to constantly combat that mental attack. Like, my body's attacking me. It's failing me. And even though I didn't eat awful and, I took care of myself, why? And so I'm grateful in that respect to Joe. I'm like, I just thought it was, I'm going to have a great story later in life because I walked with him through that. But apparently God had other plans. So here I am on my own journey, and I have got to share about how great or how significant that picture was that I shared on Facebook. And I'm going to save that for the next video because I want to be able to upload this and get it complete. So stay tuned.